everyone, and welcome to another two-episode week for us, John, of LunarCRUSH Live. We're excited today. We've got Chandresh Aharwar from Unilend coming on. Just remember, everyone, we do not take payments for these live streams. We bring on projects that we find interesting, that we like, that have growing communities. Make sure you get your questions asked in the chat there, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Theta TV, YouTube. Get your questions in there, and we'll get Chandresh to make sure he gets them answered. And then make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We've got a lot of really fun streams coming up over the next couple of weeks. We're really excited. I think we got Algorand coming up in a couple of weeks. We got our first LunarCRUSH Africa stream with Swurge, so it should be super fun. So John, tell us about Unilend.
Yeah, I'm excited about Africa. There's so much cool stuff going on. I want to talk a little bit about Unilend. I'm sure it's probably one of the newer projects to most of us out there listening. So just want to talk a little bit about what the community is looking like right now. So I'm not going to focus on price since it's such an early stage project, but I will say it's got a $10 million market cap, bringing it in at the 390th biggest project in the market by market cap. But I want to focus on the social metrics that we actually I just zoomed out to 3 months because we actually literally just added this coin about a month ago. And what we're seeing is, the type of activities we're seeing kind of like today, 170 so far. But we've got, as high as 452 social mentions in a day on January 14th. What that's looking at is, it's if anyone's using like the ticker UFT, hashtag, they're adding the account, like we're actually measuring all of those mentions. So every single social post that says that's what this line is actually showing. And within that, within those posts, there's engagement. And those engagements are also increasing. So we're seeing things like, up to 506,918 engagements on January 14th. What that's looking at is the depth of those posts. So great that there's a lot of posts, but are they empty, or are there a lot of comments? Are there a lot of retweets? What exactly is going on? And so we're seeing that, yes, like the amount of engagement is increasing across all of those posts that contain the Unilend mentions. And we also see that the community size, so social contributors measures the number of individuals posting. So it's one thing that if it's like 2 or 3 people sitting there tweeting all day or something like that, but it's another if it's a lot of people tweeting a lot. And so we're seeing, up to 367 people, and it's steadily increasing. It's looking really good. And, again, early stage, but we're talking, this project has 0.03% social dominance like today across the entire market. So it's a very new project. And I think that's actually what we want to focus a lot on today. So Joe, let's bring in our guest and let's talk about what we're looking at.
Chandresh, welcome, my man.
Hey,
how are you doing?
Hi guys, thanks a lot for inviting. And first of all, John, you have explained it in so detail. I was also surprised to see this. So I wasn't aware of this metric. Our team, keep talking that these metrics are there and these are the numbers, but I never, actually used it. But now I will use this, nearly on a daily basis. This is really glad to know, man. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Well, I'm actually excited to hear from an early stage founder. What are you doing to develop your community efforts? We can either talk about that now or maybe revisit it.
No, let's dive right into it.
Yeah, cool. So basically, what worked for us. So I will just give you, a small background about myself. So I am in the industry from 2016. I have been, representing the Indian blockchain ecosystem to the complete Ethereum community from last 2-3 years. So, and I was a part of, Matic team. I was heading their marketing for around 1 year. So I already had a lot of people who knew, what I have been doing. So when I came up with this idea and, I started my community, we realized there is huge community following, which is coming, which already they already knew me. And when we pitched this idea out to our investors, so we have investors from nearly all the geographies. So those people also ultimately shared about us. So we have got a great community, which has a combination of Chinese users, Korean users, and all the DeFi community, which saw that we have this potential. So it has been working great. And we also did one ambassador program actually, which is Unilend Legion. We have received a huge response in that. There are so many passionate people out there who believe in what we are doing, and they are supporting us continuously. So yeah, I mean, and a lot of influencers also, they love Uniland, and they keep talking about us. So in this way, like you mentioned, we are a really new project. Our alpha just went out, and now we are in preparation of releasing our beta. So our it is great to see our community is going in a way where we have more than 12,000 following on Twitter, and around 16,000 following on our Telegram. So overall, really happy with the progress, and things are going good. Yeah.
Great to hear.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, building that team and getting started, and then kind of maybe you can walk us into, what is Unilend? What are you guys working on? What's the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah. So basically, we started working on this idea last year. So along with my two co-founders who were working on a protocol, it is a live protocol, open source Meta Transact, where you can do transaction on Ethereum without, without spending Ethereum for those transactions. And ultimately, it allows you to give some benefits to your DApp user also. Like on UFT platform, we plan to when we plan to launch Meta Transaction. If you hold UFT, your fees will be deducted in UFT, and you will get 50% or 60% rebate on the fees which you are paying on the Ethereum mainnet. So they were working on this product. So I was for while I was working with Matic, we realized this problem. Like if you want to get listed on MakerDAO, if you want to get listed on any money market, they have their own governance system where it is not possible for most of the coins to get onto that. Like you can't get listed on Aave if your liquidity is not that great. And so there are some problems like volatility of price and liquidity are some issues, because ultimately if black swan event occurs where prices are dropping a lot, then liquidation issue can come for coins which are not highly liquid. So we were aware of this problem. Then when we did the number crunching, we realized that more than 50% of the market is not tapped into DeFi currently. Like there are so many good coins which are not there onto any money market. And through all the founders I was connected with, I spoke out to them that if we build a solution where we have a complete ecosystem, like you can imagine Unilend like a combination of Aave and Uniswap, where we have the trading functionality also with us, and based on the liquidity which is available on our trading platform, we are deriving the lending and borrowing capacity for those tokens. So we ultimately realized if we can build such solution, then lending and borrowing is a very big utility. Like Aave has more than a billion worth of assets locked currently. So there are around more than 50% of the market is still not tapped into DeFi. And apart from this, if you talk about the community, then you will realize that obviously Ethereum and the major coins are there, but there are so many other coins. Like out of 6,000 plus ERC20 coins which are available there currently, only around 30 plus are supported. So you can imagine the community effect is going to be much bigger. So yeah, I mean, we came up with this idea and we started working towards it. And when we went to the idea, we received huge response from all the people who were interested in investing. We received investment from some really well known folks and some really great individuals. We raised around 3.1 million around that time. And then we launched our token also. It went to around zero point 0.9. Then again, so overall we had a huge journey where in a very small period of time we launched our alpha also. And we had so many events already. So yeah, this is how it is going, man.
I've like so many questions, but like, I mean, I want to go back to like what you were saying, just because this is a never ending conversation that we keep having about Ethereum fees. And you were kind of briefly talking about, if you use your token, you save 50% on fees or something. Can you explain how your platform reduces the fees?
So I mean, see, I mean, just imagine it like this: like if you use Binance currently, and if you hold BNB, in your account, so obviously they want to drive the utility of BNB, right? So if you trade on Binance and if you pay fees in Binance, you have a discount, right? Currently on DeFi, that is not happening. There are some platforms which are ultimately coming up with a zero fee transaction also. But again, for doing the transaction on Ethereum, you have to pay the fee. You can implement some mechanism like, which 1inch has implemented of Chi token. But yeah, obviously ultimately you have to pay the fees. So like when I mentioned that the discount will be there, so we have 15% of our tokens locked for liquidity mining. So we will ultimately use those tokens so that users the people who are holding UFT token, they will have more utilities of the token. Yeah. Ultimately, you have to pay fees on the network for sure.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So when you say there's more than 80% of the market, and there's, I could see in the chat someone said 6,000 tokens. Is that? Yeah. I mean, that's the projects, right? That's the number of people working and trying to solve the DeFi projects. But as far as the amount of money that's locked into some of these contracts, it's not 80% of the value, right?
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
Yeah. So in terms of, see, like I mentioned, currently the value which is locked, so there is more than 50% of the market which is still not untapped. And if you look from the token number perspective, so there are more than 6,000 plus ERC20 tokens currently. I am not even talking about, I am not taking the example of other possibilities we are bringing with collaboration with Mirror, where they have the synthetic assets of all the stocks, and ultimately we will open that market also for lending and borrowing. Similarly, it goes out for real world assets, like take example of commodities like gold and others. So there are some projects which are working towards that, so that you can hold gold in terms of ERC20 token. So ultimately we will be able to open the lending and borrowing of these tokens also. So there are so many bigger possibilities which we are not talking about. What we are talking about, that ERC20 tokens which are already available. So more than 50% of the market is still untapped, and more than, I mean, out of 6,000 coins, I guess not even 50 are supported currently. So I already see there is a huge potential. Like every project I talk to, they obviously want to get listed on our platform, because lending and borrowing is a big utility everyone is seeing, and currently there is no option for them to do that.
Yeah, I do want to talk about kind of the tokenizing of stocks, because it's, I think it's something that, like, John, I think we've talked about before, and it's just opening up. It's almost like an ADR, like a depository receipt in reverse, right? Like people want to trade stocks that are internationally on the New York Stock Exchange. They create, a depository receipt, so that can be kind of a mirrored, trade. Doing it opposite for the rest of the world and giving the rest of the world access to stocks like Apple and Tesla and all of these other things is super interesting. And the combination of the lending and borrowing on top of that, it's kind of like you guys are approaching this spot where this is what the tokenization of everything looks like, right? Like I own Tesla stock, I can lend or borrow against it, but I also potentially have a credit card that I can use that just spends it in real time. I mean, is that the future you're thinking about?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, and to be honest, we have already reached that stage. If you look at, so I obviously can't name the project, but we have been working very closely with one of the project where they are working on tokenizing the real world assets. So they will actually have, regulatory framework on the ground, where, let's say, you own a Lambo, or maybe, you own a big house, and if you want to take a crypto loan on that real world asset, you will be able to do that. So yeah, I mean, that is something really cool we are working on. So obviously, a lot of regulatory restrictions are there. So we are starting with our partner in regions like, UK and other areas. But ultimately, in terms of future, if you talk, I guess this is the future, man. I mean, all the things are going to come to blockchain ultimately.
What is the regulatory environment look like for tokenizing a stock and letting individuals outside the United States, like take Tesla stock, for example, trades in the United States, gets tokenized on your platform. What is like the SEC think of this? Like how does that get treated?
Yeah, so it is a decentralized platform, right, nobody has a control. Like we will ultimately also have a governance of all these things. So that is what decentralized finance is offering, that ultimately nobody is controlling anything. Like if you take example of Uniswap, also anybody can come in a permissionless nature. They can ultimately provide the liquidity on their platform. So same thing we are doing for Unilend in terms of lending and borrowing. So you already had a solution like Uniswap where you can permissionlessly list your token, start the trading of it. But now with Unilend, you will have the same option of permissionlessly listing your ERC20 assets at the same time opening the lending and borrowing of it. So we are just extending what Uniswap has already offered. Yeah.
I see. But with real world assets that are already regulated by a government entity. And that's where I'm like, wait, so how if I could tokenize Tesla stock and then buy it through your
Yeah.
platform, well, how does that get treated for me living in the United States? Or maybe it doesn't apply to me because I would just buy Tesla stock. It doesn't make sense for me.
So ultimately anybody would own that stock, and they are ultimately based on that, they are ultimately mirroring it. So like we are not the platform who is actually making this possible. There is a platform named as Mirror. So it is by it is by the team of, I guess, Terra Luna only. So what they are doing, they are already creating the synthetic assets of the stocks. So we are just we are just taking that assets and getting that listed on our platform. And ultimately we are able to do the lending and borrowing of it. So you can imagine, in decentralized finance currently, it is not about a single protocol is working on something. There are multiple protocols which are working on different things, and how easy it is to integrate and ultimately provide all the solutions which a decentralized finance industry can imagine.
So you're treating like Mirror is almost like an oracle of real world assets that you are allowing trading for.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it in that way also. Yeah, because see on, yeah, I mean, it is not exactly right, because on Mirror platform also, you can, I guess, trade the assets, you can mint the asset, you can burn the asset. So ultimately, yeah, I mean, the exchange part we will be able to handle, the lending and borrowing also we will be able to handle. They can also offer the same thing. Yeah.
Wow, this is incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
so
think
so
about
my
the
question,
repercussions of this. Man.
we get these 6,000 ERC20 tokens up and running.
Yeah.
Right now, there's lending. I mean, where does it go once that happens?
Yeah, I mean, see, it is. I am also, to be honest, sometimes our team thinks and, they imagine. So, all the projects we talk to currently, they are very interested, in terms of getting listed on our platform and ultimately opening that lending and borrowing option. But what is more interesting, that people will get lot of opportunities, lot of arbitrage opportunities also. At the same time, they get lot of opportunities. Like we have a collaboration with one of the exchange named as Coin DCX. It is recently funded by Coinbase also, and they are representing Indian crypto exchange to the complete world, and lot of people are already following them. So they are going to ultimately integrate Unilend platform. Now what happened, let's say you have some XYZ asset, okay, and you are not able to do anything with it, it is just sitting in your wallet. But with our platform, if you hold something, you can just lend it and earn some APR based on that. So ultimately you can imagine that maybe if I say like 10-15% of the supply of a token can normally be staked on our, can normally be used in liquidity on our platform, and they will be able to earn UFT token also. So like we have a concept of liquidity mining, where if you are providing liquidity on our platform, you will be able to liquidity mine UFT tokens. Second thing, if you are interacting with lending and borrowing, just like you interact on compound and you know earn compound tokens, same way you will be able to earn UFT tokens on our platform also. So we are not only providing the facility, but we are incentivizing users also to use it and have a initial push. So ultimately I believe we can reach a situation where 10-15% of every token supply is locked on Unilend, maybe. Yeah, hopefully.
That's the vision. I mean, it is interesting to think about just lending and competition, right?
Yeah.
And right now, like even in the United States, there's a lot of people that go take payday loans, right? And they end up paying 10, 12, 15%, maybe more. And they kind of bury themselves into a hole. I mean, there was a story here about, a couple of people that just buried themselves into a hole, and, they ended up doing something bad to themselves because they thought they can never get out of that hole. Right. And it's with the competition that comes from just, the number of products out there and the number of people competing for everyone's business, ultimately that becomes a lot less expensive, right, to lend and to borrow, to kind of create that competition. So I love the idea of putting and giving access to all these really smart people that otherwise might not be the 38 projects that are in this kind of like lending pool. Obviously, I think this comes with, there's always going to be some people that are not providing the best services, but I think ultimately let the community decide. I think it's a really smart way of going at it.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree on this, and yeah, the everyone is liking the idea. We are, we and actually we also made our alpha version live, so we have received a lot of positive feedback from community. Like, if you go on any money market currently which is available, so they support limited assets. So all the graphical user interface where they can have number of projects listed one by one, whereas when we are coming and we are saying we will do it we will allow a permissionless listing, so the number of tokens which we will have to handle in UI could be more than 1,000, 2,000. So our team has worked on a solution where so it inspiration is taken from Uniswap, where we are able to manage so bigger number of tokens on our platform. So yeah, I mean, we have been receiving a lot of positive feedback from everyone that the way we are taking for this, as we have a permissionless listing, it will make the user journey very easy in terms of using our platform. So overall, receiving a lot of feedbacks from everyone. Some improvements are also there, which our team is making. Yeah.
We can tell you firsthand. We have experience in this because we have thousands of coins that always ask to be listed. Solve this problem because it'll eat you up. This is a big deal. Scale. There's so many coins that if you don't scale, you get buried. You like, there's so much in terms of operations to manage all that. I'd love to back up a little bit higher level than just even talking about Unilend. Just talk about DeFi in general. And I'm looking here at some numbers today, 1 year ago. So think early or mid-January a year ago, there was $798 million locked in DeFi. $798 million. Today, there's 23.31 billion.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So little bit of growth. What is it that's driven this? I mean, we've been in crypto for years. Why now? What's happening? Why is this going on? And I'd even say it's even much more over the last 6 months that we've seen this. So what is happening?
Yes, so see, ultimately, what I think, these solutions were already, there, but it took a lot of time for people to realize, okay, what are the benefits of this decentralized exchange which has to offer. Like, take example of Uniswap. Most of the liquidity is there currently. They literally had no liquidity initially, and then that episode also happened where again Sushi Swap came, and they started giving benefits for people who are providing the liquidity. Actually, SNX started the liquidity mining concept some time back, but it took a lot of traction where people realized, okay, there are so many things which can be done on a decentralized finance. Like, take example of Unilend itself, even though, or take example of any other projects. Previously, we had to have a centralized exchange listing possible for launching our token. But currently you see, like, when we also launched for the first day, majorly we provided liquidity on, because we ourselves are a dex, we provided liquidity on Uniswap, SushiSwap, and Balancer. So you imagine, for many projects which are out there, they knew that, okay, audience has already built, there are people who are comfortable using decentralized exchange, lot of trading is happening, lot of volume is coming. So ultimately at the later stage they also came, and it ultimately added up to overall traction which DeFi got. And there are so many use cases which are already being built into DeFi. Initially they were not there when the traction, but the traction started happening. So overall, I guess, yeah, it was just industry realized it after some time, that this is the potential of decentralized finance. And like the way we are seeing it currently, it is going to go huge. I guess this is just the start of DeFi. Until unless I see there are so many arbitrage opportunities are available, I am able to earn 100%, 150 and 150% on something. So ultimately, that interests a lot of people and a lot of money keeps coming in. Yeah.
And do you think that obviously there's a ton of innovation going on, right? It's
Yeah.
just, and one startup sees the success of another, which breeds another, which breeds another.
Yeah.
But how do you think the macro global picture plays into this?
Mm-hmm.
How do
So
you think? Yeah, good.
yeah, I mean, see, I follow a few of the folks, like, Naval and all those guys. So it is great to see, they also talking about defined understanding. So just imagine, how the traction is built on currently, and what are the kind of people, starting to believe into this thing by seeing what are the possibilities this have to offer. So overall, like, in the long term perspective, currently where these things are going, I feel that, we will land up in a much better position than we are. I think I didn't answer your question. Can you repeat your question again? I
Just
thought.
the global environment, like aside from DeFi and the innovation going on here, I'll call that the micro environment. Like, how do you think that the global macro environment is
Mhm.
driving this? Like, what is driving everyone to use DeFi?
Yeah, so for most of the people, like, these are the ease of usage currently, like, take example, nobody can imagine who is not into crypto that it will be so easy for stocks to, lend and borrow and ultimately, invest into stock. You can just, you don't need to open any account. You can just ultimately go and buy that share on a decentralized finance. At the same time, as this is a too early stage, there are, so many opportunities for the people who are joining early. So what I personally feel, we are seeing that, this golden opportunity which is there, slowly more and more people are ultimately realizing it, and they are joining us. This is what I feel. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I want to kind of step back and talk a little bit about like growth and the community. And you're gonna have, like, how do you plan on it? Say you have even like 1,000, like we're kind of talking about tokens and people being added to the platform. You've got 1,000 of these tokens that are
Yeah.
added, and it's, you said you're going to be decentralized. Like, what does governance look like, and voting and some of
Mhm.
this stuff as you guys get going, and kind of hand this off to the community?
Yeah. So see, ultimately, like, we are pitching that we will obviously do a guarded launch where, we will choose few projects, start and see how the platform is performing. Then ultimately we want to, open it to everyone and have a permissionless listing. So when we have a permissionless listing, there are so many factors, like, currently, the tokens which we will be listing are going to be volatile in nature. And as we are, deriving the lending and borrowing capability from the volume which from the, liquidity which is available on our trading platform. So again, overall, uh, yeah. So Sorry, I just got a text from someone. Can you repeat your question once again, Joe? Really sorry.
Just kind of thinking about governance and handing the project, like
So
you
yeah,
said, picking a couple of projects and kind of getting the ball rolling, and then what does governance look like after that?
yeah. So there are so many factors. Like if you give a collateral of $100 currently, we are listing any other asset. So initially we will have a collateralization ratio where by giving $100 you are only able to borrow $50 worth of other token. Like let's say you are giving UFT as a collateral and you are borrowing Ethereum. So by giving $100 worth of UFT, you will be able to borrow $50 worth of Ethereum. But as over the period of time, this thing keep on maturing. We would want that for some tokens through governance, we have the capability of increasing or lowering down, the collateralization ratio for different tokens. And there are so many other factors which also comes into governance. We were also thinking that initially for token listing also we will see that how it is working through governance, where like on Uniswap, any token can list and they ultimately provide the liquidity on our platform. We want to achieve that stage, but initially we might go where where people are choosing that out of this 4 5 projects, which one gets listed first. So in that way, ultimately governance will have a lot of utilities which will determine the factors in how our platform is functioning.
Cool. No,
I'll throw an idea out there for
Yeah.
you. List projects based on which ones have the most community traction. Verifiable.
How did I know he was going to say that?
Yeah. Yeah, and one more very interesting thing which will be there. So initially, our protocol will list ETH as a base pair, but ultimately we would want other base pairs like USDC, USDT, and there are so many algorithmic stable coins also which are coming. So ultimately that we also want to drive through governance. There are so many activities which we want to drive through governance, but obviously it will take some time, and in our roadmap it is planned for the second half of this year. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
it seems like you guys are you were talking at the beginning about some of the fees and kind of solving that as like some sort of kind of like side chain with Unilend. And what about adding, right now it seems like a huge swath of the DeFi market obviously is in Ethereum. As Ethereum continues to work on the fee structure, and that maybe takes another 18 months or whatnot to get people kind of comfortable with that. I mean, are there any other kind of platforms that you guys are looking at that could be, like as you said, there's going to be atomic swaps and swapping, and you guys are already building a side chain. Is there any other protocols that you guys are looking at that you think could kind of disrupt DeFi?
So yeah, I mean, in terms of the high fees on Ethereum, and there are some other layer too. So like you mentioned, we are not building a side chain. We are not building a side chain. We are just going to integrate the meta transaction on our protocol, which will ultimately allow UFT tokens to be used for paying the fees. So
Gotcha.
yeah, this is what we are doing. There are some other protocols like I worked for Matic previously. There are some like Scale is also there, and some projects like Near, Elrond, and even Algorand also. A lot of people, and a lot of Solana also. There's a lot of people are working towards providing either a different solution, and there are some more teams who are working towards a layer 2 solution, and ultimately have a lower fees. So we are actually evaluating some projects currently. We have not taken the decision. We for this, liquidity matters a lot currently. If you take example of Ethereum, there is billions of dollars of liquidity currently on Ethereum. If you take example of any other chain, the liquidity movement has not happened yet. So there is no other solution currently in the market where you can confidently go and you can launch your platform and you have a surety. Okay, if our platform is providing that usability, then ultimately those those liquidity is going to come to our platform. That thing can happen on Ethereum only. On other chains, the liquidity movement is happening. So currently, like what you are mentioning, we are also watching very closely, and we would want to follow the other major protocols which are on Ethereum currently, and have huge liquidity in terms of choosing where we are going. So yeah, we also we first want to launch on Ethereum. Obviously gas fees is slight problem currently, but the utility which we are offering is no one offering currently in the market. So we want to stick to Ethereum ecosystem currently, but we are evaluating this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting because we talk to a lot of coins and we see stuff every day. It seems like everyone's getting into DeFi. Truly, it's almost like every single like project that you pull up, there's some element of DeFi that they're exploring. But yeah, you bring up an amazing point, because if there's no liquidity, have fun with that. It's not going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
you just can't build on top of it. But I'd be curious, like, at what point does another chain make sense to work with? Is it the fees are too high at Ethereum, or is
Mhm.
there like a magic number, like Polkadot, for example? Is there like a magic number of DeFi projects built on Polkadot? And there's a lot being built on Polkadot, but like,
Yeah.
is there a certain moment that we know that Polkadot is now viable for DeFi versus building on Ethereum?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a very difficult question to answer for me. I see. I mean, I keep on getting messages from a lot of folks that we are building this on Polkadot, and these things are happening. But ultimately, I am not seeing that happen yet. It might happen. It might happen. In very near future. But when I see this major protocols, they are like, just name one protocol on any any chain, be it layer 2 or be it any other chain, where more than $500 million of liquidity or $1 billion of liquidity
Yeah.
is locked.
Yep.
That thing will move, that thing will move me. And for us, you know if you take example of Unilend, then we are building something which is there for the common audience. Like everyone doesn't have the reach to Aave, everyone doesn't have a reach to compound, and going through that governance, and ultimately having the solution where they can unlock the utility of lending and borrowing. So we are building for the larger chunk of teams which are building on Ethereum currently. So in terms of number, if you see, all the liquidity of these tokens which we are targeting is majorly available on Ethereum. So like the thing which we are targeting, if it is that on Ethereum, then ultimately we will focus on that only. So for us, it makes a hell lot of sense that we target all the audience on Ethereum. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So tell us exactly kind of, where is the project today?
Mhm.
Where do we get to the spot where, the first kind of projects are getting added onto the
Yeah.
platform?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
how does, like, if I'm, if you're going to be dealing with a couple of thousands of projects, I mean, how is someone going to kind of get onboarded to your platform and start working? Are you guys building kind of self-service for that?
Mhm.
Or
So
maybe just life cycle of where we are today to, maybe that first spot?
No, so overall, like, so we released our roadmap, last year only. And after that, we promised that we will release our alpha. So alpha is mostly MVP, in terms of the logics which we were saying, that how our liquidation engine will work. Because what we are building is totally different from the money markets which are available in the market currently. We are we want to become a one stop solution, where if you want to do trading, you can do it on our platform, and ultimately you will be able to do the lending and borrowing of those tokens also, where lending and borrowing becomes the major focus for our platform. So overall, we released our alpha, where people can currently go and have some test tokens. It is on Robston. You can ultimately use UFT to borrow Ethereum. If you want to lend Ethereum, you can do that. So we released our alpha. Our team is working on a beta solution, which we want to launch next month. And ultimately by quarter 1, we want to go live, where ultimately we are able to uh, we are able to list the token. So initially we already have few projects which we partner with, they are helping on something. So we have already figured out the initial set, and there are already more than 30, or I guess 30 or 35 or 5+ projects which we are in touch with, and they are ready to onboard onto our platform. But obviously we want to take it step by step, so when we launch in March, we will start with few tokens, and ultimately we will keep on adding. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So you're getting kind of the beta folks in line, and then once you're feeling comfortable with that, then it's pushing live.
Yes.
Yeah.
On that note, I'd love to also talk about just the tokenomics of UFT.
Mm-hmm.
And how does the supply schedule work? I see right now, I'm not sure if it's 100% right, but it says that there's 25.56 million in circulating supply right now, and there's 100 million max.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. So yeah, recently we had a unlock, and currently there is 25.57 million. So the data on CoinGecko is right, but yeah, I mean, good supply out of this is for the liquidity mining. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, and we recently had unlock for our private investors. So 5 million tokens we unlocked, and that went to our private investors. So our supply increased recently. Yeah. It is as per the plan we have.
And so as the circulating supply increases, there's a allocation of that, you're saying, that goes into liquidity?
Yeah, so like out of the 100% supply which we had, so we have the unlock for liquidity mining also. So there is a 15% token which are reserved for the events like liquidity mining, staking, and others. So ultimately, tokens out of this, the supply which got unlocked, will be used for these activities also.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
So speaking of partnerships, can you talk about any of the projects that you guys are talking with to get started at first, or are you guys trying to keep some of that stuff private?
Yeah, so I mean, there are so many things happening. I mean, when I generally talk with folks like who are just like friends, so I keep on releasing a lot of information. So my team said me that please don't release the upcoming news. So there are some
Oh,
there
come
are
on.
some interesting things which are coming from our end. But yeah, overall, if you see, so what we have been trying to do, initially when we came up with a pitch, then people already realized, okay, there is more than 50% untapped market which we are targeting, which is more than 30 or 35 billion currently. So that part was already done, but over the period of time, what we tried to show our community, as we are building a permissionless protocol which are going to support all the ERC20 tokens initially. So there are some other tokens, like I already took example of gold and silver, which is becoming possible because of the partnership with Open DeFi. Then Mirror, I already mentioned, it is about stocks. So there are so many different things which we are working, and we are showing our community the possibilities our platform has to offer. Like if you can convert it into a ERC20 token, we can ultimately derive the lending and borrowing utility out of it based on a simple AMM which is available for exchanging the tokens. Yeah.
And what about, I mean, lending, there's going to be lending, but what about trading? I mean, like you said, you're like, I see Uniswap, and now for some reason it just clicked Unilend, like swap or lend, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, is there going to be swapping that's going on as well?
Yeah. So see, I mean, it is a combination of exchange and the lending and borrowing. So you will be able to exchange your token. See, the major difference which is happening on our protocol, like other solutions, they are dependent on different oracles for getting the price feed. Like some of them use Chainlink, and some of them use other oracles. Whereas with Unilend, what is happening, the AMM which we have built for our exchange platform, we will use the oracle of that AMM, and ultimately as the lending and borrowing is happening through that only. So that that will become possible. So that is the addition. Like we have our own AMM where the trading is happening, price feed we are taking from that for the lending and borrowing thing. And also, we have a functionality in our platform where the price of a particular token, can't drop by particular percentage in certain minutes. So in that way, if you look, then we are a platform which is focused first on lending and borrowing. Then exchange is the second part, which is helping us do the lending and borrowing in a permissionless way. And also, we don't want to end up in a situation like, if we take example of other money market, then they are dependent for liquidation on other dexes which they don't control. The liquidity which is there, they don't control. Whereas on our platform, we will control the liquidity which is available, and the liquidation case will always become possible because the trading platform is supported. Yeah.
That's interesting. And when you said chain link, and then I just kind of thought, well, if you're getting a data feed and you're trading and lending off of Tesla or trading and lending off of gold or silver, why not a data feed? Why not market price a data feed?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot.
Yeah, so we have that plan for our version 2 actually, where we are going to use the data feed. But ultimately, we are working on that solution where the supply and demand settles the prices, just like it happens on a Uniswap AMM. So like a lot of projects can use Uniswap Oracle also, whereas on our platform, like I mentioned, that prices can't also drop a huge by a huge margin in single transaction. So that is why we are secured to flash loans also. So in that way, we are using our exchange platform to derive the feed, and we actually don't depend on others. And if you take examples, like we are talking to one of the project currently which can provide the feeds for larger tokens. But in the current industry, like all the feeds for all the tokens are not available. Like if you want to take feed for some XYZ token which is our currently 200 or 250 position, it becomes difficult for all this like Chainlink and band for them also to provide the feeds for so many tokens. And also it is not cost efficient. But there are some layer 2s also which are being built on this thing, so that will also be interesting. We are talking to one of the teams, and that also soon we will announce through our announcement channel that we are exploring synergies with them. So the solutions are coming, but till that time, we have built a solution in a way where we can make it possible through our AMM. Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, I want to talk just, I know we're getting close on time here, but I wanted to talk just about, you're saying that you can launch thousands of different assets on your platform.
Yeah.
And I'm on Aave right now, for example, here, and I see that Aave has 22 different listings on there.
Yeah.
And I think of like just operationally, like if they were to add a 23rd and a 24th and a 25th, it's a lot of work, right?
Yes.
And so it seems to me you almost have a marketing challenge on your hands. Like, how do you get after these thousands of coins to get them to work with you? And just almost awareness. And so I'd be curious, just, from going from like getting them aware and onboarding them and then getting them listed, what is that going to look like?
So see, initially, you have to take the initial effort. So like, if you take example of any other project which takes tokens through governance, there is obviously lot of hassle and lot of things which you have to do. Whereas you compare it with Uniswap, like if I want to list any token on Uniswap, I just need to go and provide the liquidity of that particular token and Ethereum or USDC, whatever other pair I want. Once I list that, it becomes available for anyone to trade that token. So similarly, in that way, you imagine you have a similar exchange just like Uniswap, in a form of Unilend. You just need to go and provide liquidity on an exchange, and by when you cross a minimum amount of liquidity, the lending and borrowing starts for that token. So ultimately, we are you can say we are combining Uniswap and Aave, whereas Aave doesn't have the capability of permissionlessly listing any tokens for lending and borrowing. and we do where we can list any token for lending and borrowing. So in terms of marketing and everything, like see, we are building on Ethereum currently, but yeah, I mean, it is not necessarily to get in touch with them and do it. There are thousands of projects listed on Uniswap. So it is just the effect. If project is getting anything out of it, they are getting a new utility, they will obviously, I mean, the process becomes easier, and it is easier for every consumer to use, then ultimately they will come.
So then it's ultimately a groundswell of word of mouth, people saying, hey, you should check out Unilend. And there's
Yeah.
so many amazing things. And then one thing leads to another project, to another project. So your community activity is going to be really critical, building that up and getting that out.
As yes, and our marketing team, like I keep on receiving a lot of positive feedbacks from around, and you guys know how to do the marketing and everything. The marketing team is doing a good job for all the projects we are collaborating. Like CyberFi is one of the project which is building a automation layer on top of Unilend. We have also sponsored the ETH India event, which is happening from tomorrow, where a lot of folks from all around the world are joining together to build something on Ethereum. So we might see something exciting coming out of there also. So there are already so many different teams and projects which want to integrate Unilend. There are so many exchanges like Coin DCX, Probit, you might be knowing, and some other partnerships also which are in place. So there are so many exchanges which want to be a liquidity provider. There are so many projects also which want to build on top of Unilend or use it somehow, and there is a huge community already which is waiting to use our platform. So I feel overall the effect will be driven by all the combination of this work. Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Awesome stuff. Well, guys, we're coming up to the time here, and Chandresh, I really appreciate you coming on and teaching us a little bit about this. It's it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited to watch you build this and see kind of what happens, and you can tell your community's excited, and just great, man. So I really appreciate you coming on here, telling us a little bit, and can't wait to have you again once you get this thing up and rolling, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joe and John, for inviting me. Really a great experience, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you. And everyone that was listening, thank you guys so much. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And Chandresh, we'll talk to you backstage, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.